Guys, and welcome to the month of Aquarius. So Aquarian energy is the 11th energy, so this is going to be very important what kind of goals we set this month. You can see different segments of your life. What is your journey, what is happening with your family, where is your prosperity lying, what you should be doing to increase your chances of looking good, and what is, like, for example, residing in your love and marriage house. And if you guys want your private reading, and if you waited for a special with me, this is the time. So basically what's happening right now, it is upgraded. So the regular readings, which usually takes about 3 to 4 weeks, I'm going to turn around in a week. So you're going to get a price of a regular, you're going to get a rush reading. If you order a rush reading to get it within or under a week, you're going to get it within 3 days. And if you order an urgent reading, which is usually 3 days delivery, you're going to get it within 24 hours. So just book a regular reading or rush reading or urgent reading, and that's going to be upgraded. So to book the reading, check my website www.cattarot.ca. Without much further ado, let's jump into your monthly reading. Hi Cancer, welcome to your February reading. So let's see where we go from here. I'm going to first tell you the cards I have on a table that kind of jumped out for you. 10 of Pentacles, 4 of Wands, Knave of Cups, 7 of Pentacles, the Sun in the central position, the Death, for 2 Wands, Knight of Pentacles reversed, and 4 of Cups. Then as the underlying energy, you're getting the Hermit reversed, and also advice is the Hangman reversed. It's coming with additional kind of like instruction, marriage, misfortune, and sadness. And you're getting other 2 things: intensity and the F word. And I bet you're laughing about this. So let's see where I start. It looks to me that some of you here have been in a relationship in the past, something that can be actually really either marriage or living together, or something that was supposed to head toward marriage and kind of like got in a situation that it felt either wrong or something kind of like affected this entire situation, and somebody actually sacrificed. It could be you, that you took a fall and you said, like, you know what, I'm removing myself from this situation. The cycle was supposed to kind of like be pushed over, and it's kind of like really weird. I'm having this marriage energy. You're having a marriage, but you also have the death and misfortune. So given that these 2 stories are like so different, they're like, could be like 2 different kind of type of cancers out there. One is just going to be, oh my gosh, like my relationship is like, so maybe kind of like hit that kind of ledge where I had to wonder how to go forward from this point on, and in which direction I kind of like want to develop this. And it kind of like, maybe it was like last piece of negotiation, kind of like, how do we handle in-laws, how do we handle all of that kind of integration, and how do we go to the next level. And it kind of like ran into maybe financial issues. Everything seemed to be going fine. The attraction was there, the love was there, even children like were approving of it, but somebody else didn't. Somebody else threw the wrench into this whole thing, for some of you, not for everybody. And some of you just like got flabbergasted. Why is this happening? It's almost like, looks like everything is working. There is like no even possibility of things going wrong, and something went badly wrong. Like the misfortune here is possibly the worst card in this entire deck. So what could have gone wrong in this particular planning? That somebody maybe was warned and being told, look, I need that. I really need you to work with me on this. Please listen to me. This is really bothering me. And can we kind of like approach this differently? And either the person didn't listen, didn't care, or didn't think it was important. Well, it hasn't been important to them. It has been very important to you. And it is kind of situation where some of you are sort of like literally left hanging, and like both of these cards are not really great cards for simple reason, because when they're like in the upright situation, like the hangman is basically saying there is like some kind of sacrifice. So some, like let's say like we are getting married, so we are sacrificing that we don't have to I don't know, negotiate when we are going to the bathroom, kind of like our time and space. But we are more than willing to do that, because like we are kind of like seeing the bigger picture. It indicates somebody who is maybe really trying to integrate how the other people see the situation and how things are being kind of built from that standpoint, right? So he has this like cross legs, which kind of indicates number 4, and you will see the same thing in the Emperor card, right? Which kind of like talks about the stability. Certainly 12 is being end of the cycle, and something had to be decided inside. Sort of like he has his own star, and you know, if we will marry, if we will not marry, how is this new life going to be for us? It's not something that generally is decided by the others, and it is a big decision. We really need to look deep inside of our soul if this is something we can do. Now, when these two cards reverse, something weird starts to happen. Instead of kind of like thinking, well, there is a two of us, we kind of like need to work on this, or the situation is calling for different kind of opinions. Somebody thinks they know everything, and yet they don't know it. They are still tight. They're like saying they're the victim, kind of like they are wanting to take the center stage because of quote-unquote suffering they did. They're not learning the lesson. And instead of like moving forward, they're actually just trying to push through their opinions and their feelings about the matter. And it's like not a big surprise that certain things just collapsed, right? And it's kind of like resulting in sadness. Now this can be interchangeable. It could be you, could be a partner. The interesting part is like that this marriage vibe is basically the center of this reading. And like when I see all these directions, I can see how much joy this presented at some point. Like almost like looks like all the ducks were in the row, and then something happened. Poof. Something financially happened. Maybe somebody took somebody for granted. Something just didn't move forward all of a sudden. And by not moving forward, because everything moves forward, right? So everything is moving, you're actually moving backward. So this could actually be arrival of a new baby. This could be, you know, new marriage. Maybe some of you were getting married. Maybe some of you were going through a new anniversary. But something happened. Instead of expecting this lovey-dovey kind of a thing, it was just like hell. It doesn't have to be for all of you. Some of you maybe just managed to navigate, to get through it, and sort of like use that passion that you had, that you kind of like build those reservoirs of love. Well, the others didn't. The others are dealing with the collapse of it. Something collapsed. Something is worked on. Mourning is taking place, wondering in which direction to go, how to even recover from the situation. Some people are really getting even depressed in this whole thing. But the good news about this Cancer is that you still have the sun in the central position, that you still do have support from your family, that you still know where you want to go. And you have to figure out who is the person or what kind of things put a wrench into that system. And that needs to be worked on, because this is the key of the problem. What happened, what lesson haven't been learned is really important. And I feel this lesson is a financial lesson. Either something started to cost too much, that could have been financially, it could be, I just cannot take it. I cannot see myself living with this for the rest of my life. Because check it out. Pentacles, 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 right? You guys have no swords in this configuration. You guys are really should be basically spending a little bit more time thinking how to go through this whole case scenario, how to deal with this. There is like a certain element of, let's call it fixedness, a certain element, my way or the highway. And that's why you're having this F word. So whether you're like really the person who did say something that really kept on their mind, or you're beating yourself over certain things. So what could this F stand for? Of course, the obvious. But then also fixated, I don't know, frustrated, fasting, food, forgetful, fat, foreplay, fanatical, forgotten, feelings. Which one is it? What is like this F meaning to you guys? You know, take basically your F word and kind of deal with this. If there are like issues, I really hope somebody like didn't want to get married because they feel they're not fitting into their wedding dress. That there is like simply, you guys Cancers, this kind of like sometimes happens when you just like need a break. You just like feel, gosh, I tried everything. I put everything on a plate. If this cannot work, I'm like so disappointed. I really don't know how to make it work. I really don't know how to engage. Simply, I guess, when I kind of like really look at it objectively, it kind of like is, I guess, disillusioning that is taking place here. It's something that has to be done, because the clarity will enter. Because look, one is like bright as the sun, one is like dark over here. So they almost like annul each other over here. But the truth is, you get to choose. Like this to me looks like crossroads. This to me looks like that maybe you have to work on yourself and making sure that your dreams are your own dreams, not somebody else's. That all this money and maybe prestige that I see here is kind of like being followed, is maybe finally coming to realization, is this really important? Or is this important to me? I really need somebody who will truly be soft and tell me that they love me, and they love me to death, right? And like until death do us apart, which basically could be just simple. This is describing those marriage, like, I mean, vows. And if you guys are having a serious relationship, then you have to figure out a few questions. If you were doing something just because you think it was the right thing to do, or if you're doing something because it is the right time to do it. Let's say you have been with somebody for quite a while, and now you feel, well, you know, we have to go to the next stage. We have to get married. Maybe they don't want to do that, or vice versa. Maybe they still want to date. I don't see, guys, the third person over here. I really don't. Often, especially when you have this reading that is like for the masses, you see it. But what I do see to be really straight shooter with you, to tell you what I see is that this is a time that you are really assessing the validity of your dreams, of your talents, your willingness to be a channel for inspiration, for creativity, to kind of look deep inside of yourself. And you're truly trying to prevent dangers that could come in your life. Some of you, because you're Cancer and you hold a long process, like the memories are almost like treasuries for you. Like, it looks like it could be something from the past that still hasn't healed and that needs to transform to go to the next stage. And this is like simply saying F everything. I will not care for the societal norms. I can always do better, and I can self-correct, because these two cards are talking about that. And I think it is time for maybe you exercising your own authenticity, right? I definitely see a switch. There is like a switch to something else. The switch is like from something that you thought is like fully packed down, right, handled, done with. But I guess you're entering the next stage, as the next stage is kind of like coming the next challenge. And this challenge, damn you, but you're going to be really different. You're going to this time really make sure your needs are kind of listened and appreciated. And I really love the Sun in the central position, because even when you have other, let's say, warning cards, and you do have 3 really big warning cards here, 4, this one is saying that you will still come on top. You will still kind of like retain that sunny attitude, or maybe somebody will tell you to F off, and you might feel a little bit, well, distressed, and you might feel a little bit kind of like pushed away. But you know what, you're going to say, wait a minute, because like I see this like feeling that it could be like, let me think through it, let me go through some situation and reassess myself. Because you see that that card is also about transformation. This doesn't have to necessarily mean the ending. It is definitely rebirth when it is in the upright situation, especially in these kind of like 2 things. Sometimes this rebirth can only happen when we really go deep, which tells me that at present you still didn't go as deep as you can. So maybe going deep is painful. Maybe going deep is like something that is causing pain or disorientation. But in any case, going deep is almost like necessary to kind of like shed some old stuff. This seems to be a theme in all readings, that we are like actually this month going through sort of like cleanse. Let's call it a major cleanse. And we will really need to kind of like see what items need to be discharged. So let me just clarify a few things over here. I want to see the Sun. I want to see the death. So the Sun, falseness. Yeah, you know what? You're looking, you're shedding light on things. You're trying to figure out what was wise, what was not wise. So you're actually going back to, well, not so much that you're going back, almost looks like that you're almost forced to kind of like work on some issues, that this almost like is a must, that you will not go have a choice, because this is like the Tower in this deck, where you're simply not allowed to progress further on your karmic path until you learn certain lesson, right? You just don't go to grade 2 unless you know what 1 + 1 is, and you will be shifted back and back and back until you learn it. But somebody didn't learn it here, whether you or somebody around you or your partner. Like, one person is pushing and has the plan, right? Let's go, like, look at this 2, 4, 7, 10, like pushing it, like somebody is a project manager, somebody has a good plan, but the other person is like pushing this apart, right? I'm seeing this 4, 4, 4, and then we have the Hangman. There is like the issue about how stable this is, how solid this is, how solid do I want it to be, what needs to be refixed, what needs to be cut off, what can go forward, what is true, what is not true. It's kind of like really very comprehensive. Let's see, this death. Yeah, it was some kind of monetary loss, Cancer. And I think, and let's see this, because that seems to be, there's some news that you received that you're not very happy. Or I'm just seeing, for some of you, this would mean that, especially for men, that if you feel you're going in the next stage, the next stage is going to be sort of like expensive, and that you kind of like feel this is not something that you can go through with. But guess what, guys? You're coming on top. You're having like these 2 pages. You're having fire and water here. So something is finally lining up. But like you have to release something. You have to kind of figure out what are those things that you need to tell them to F off and start dealing with reality. So let's see this F word. Yeah, especially the ladies. Now look at that, even the colors are matching. Ladies, it's not very ladylike to say F words, but you know what, whatever it is, you need to deal with this. If you think you're fat, yeah, so be it. Work on it. You cannot get there overnight, but you can get there. This doesn't mean that you have to love yourself less. Well, fake. If somebody's calling you fake, or you're thinking somebody else is a fake, well, you can fix yourself if you start to realize that way and you reassess. And see, this is it. For example, somebody tells you you're full of it, right? And this is like what these 2 cards are saying. Somebody tells you something and you just like simple brush it off. Nah, not that way. Which of course could be the case. Like self-esteem is based on us filtering what other people say to us, and some people who are like really self-reflective are willing to take other people's opinions and see really if this is true. They can literally look that way and see this other person's perspective. Like it tells me here that you kind of completely blocked yourself, and hence you're not learning it. I literally would advise you that this month, just make an exception. And whenever somebody tells you something, you don't have to strike back. You don't have to tell them to F off. You don't have to argue, but simply inside of yourself, because this is asking you, if you're alone in your own room at night, process it. Say to yourself, why would this person see me this way? Why, even if you think it's the most outrageous thing, just ask yourself, why would that be happening? I think you're going to be getting lots of breakthroughs, and these breakthroughs are simply going to really happen about pushing it forward. Like, I mean, there is like some new nervous energy happening, which kind of like still did not solidify. So maybe March is going to kind of like push you forward, because look at it, the pages that we have, page, and then we had, and where did that go? We had a page of, where did I hide it? Oh, there it is. No, that was a night, but we had a page, oh, there, here. Look at this, they're all pages. So if you guys had money issues, what the cards are saying is like to really set a budget. Like you really need to kind of like figure out how to kind of like have a control of the situation, because this definitely looks to be the kind of like moral of the entire story. Sort of like, you know, field of dreams, guys. You definitely kind of like have it. It is like in the crosshairs, but you have to figure out how to get there. You have to be able to speak your truth. You have to be able to kind of like put the fire and put the energy. But certain things need to go. Certain things maybe would need to be reassessed and need to be stepped back. You also have to figure out what is really needed and what is really not needed, because some things have been wasted, and like you can see, this has been given to the kitty, and this and this, and nah, And then there is like this special order coming. So just like think about this for a moment. You are at a restaurant and you order this, and then they bring it to you. Yeah, I don't like this. Okay. Happily, the waiter goes back and takes you a new order or something else. You order something else. This is given to you. Yeah, I don't want it. All right. So they're not that eager this time around, but they are getting you something else. You're getting the whip, where I'm getting with this, right? So then finally, you get something super duper absolutely special. And even that is a nah. So who do you think is going to look silly in this situation? And like you see, this is exactly the situation that I'm explaining. There are like two sides of a story. You see, well, why would I settle for something that I don't want? And the waiter is saying, well, wait a minute, like, is this going to ever stop? Like, I mean, does this person really know? So this is the key. You have to figure out, you have to really figure out how to see. And we know that the science is saying that as we can actually do that. I mean, I'm doing that with cards. How to figure out what is in another person's head, how to figure out what needs to be troubleshooted and fix it. So for some of you guys, this might not go in a good direction. Something that already is like being set and arranged can be just like a complete disaster. This can be even almost like runaway husband or groom or runaway bride situation, where it's going to just like cause complete disaster and complete feeling of being victimized. For the others of you, it's going to be okay, like, let's shift this, let's put a budget together. Some of you who are single, who don't have either, you know, the baggage of the old relationships, or don't have a partner, or don't have anybody that bothers them at that time, actually still having something lingering. They're still having issues that they're still having in them. Maybe they're like under the surface because they're not actively thinking about them. They're not actively working on their issues. Like, you know, sometimes we just like date a new person. Pff, like the old person was all bad, of course. Like, they're great when we meet them. They're like desired when there is a breakup, but then we hate them after that. So now the new person goes through the same cycle, which I see here. For some of you, there is somebody else. Love offer is going to be here. The truth is, this new love offer can take off like fire. Are you ready? Are you ready? Did you fix all these issues? Because if you haven't, you will end up in the same situation, because there is a definitely arrival of something that will repeat the situation that you still haven't fully acknowledged and finished. So my dear Cancer, to get your own reading, please contact me via my website www.cattarot.ca, and until the next time, I wish you all the best. Love you.